Reaching the age of 63 can feel like stepping into a new chapter of life, a chapter where you finally have the chance to live with more freedom and authenticity. For many years, life may have been centered around building a career, raising a COI family, and meeting the expectations of others. These responsibilities often left little room to focus on your personal desires and well-being. However, entering your 60s often marks a turning point, offering a rare and precious opportunity to slow down, reflect, and redefine what is truly important to you. At this stage, the pressures and demands that once seemed so urgent start to lose their grip. What once consumed your time and energy, endless work tasks, family obligations, or trying to meet others' expectations, begins to fade into the background. Instead, you find yourself more interested in pursuing what genuinely brings you happiness and fulfillment. This shift is not just a coincidence. It's the result of the wisdom you've gained through decades of life experience, lessons learned, and personal growth. The older you get, the clearer it becomes which things truly matter and which things can be gently let go. Still, despite this newfound clarity, it's easy to stay attached to old habits, outdated beliefs, and unnecessary worries. These mental and emotional burdens can weigh you down, making it harder to fully enjoy this rich and meaningful stage of life. Recognizing and releasing these things is not always simple, but it is incredibly rewarding. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you create space for a life filled with peace, joy, and authentic connections. In this discussion, we will explore 10 common things that often lose their importance after turning 63. These are habits, worries, and patterns that may have felt essential in the past, but now hold you back from living a life of true freedom. By understanding why these things no longer make sense and finding the courage to release them, you can step into a life that feels lighter, more meaningful, and deeply satisfying. Letting go of harmful relationships have a profound impact on how we see ourselves and how we feel emotionally. Whether it's with friends, family members, or romantic partners, the connections we keep play a vital role in our well-being. However, not every relationship is meant to last forever. Over time, some relationships may become draining, one-sided, or even toxic. As the years go by, the emotional cost of maintaining these unhealthy connections becomes harder to ignore. Sometimes people stay in harmful relationships out of a sense of obligation, fear of conflict, or simply because it's what they've always done. However, by the time you reach your 60s, it becomes clear that there is no longer a good reason to hold on to relationships that do not bring respect, kindness, or genuine care into your life. Walking away from toxic people is not a sign of failure or weakness. In fact, it's an act of self-respect and self-love. It shows that you understand the value of your time, your emotional energy, and your peace of mind. Choosing to distance yourself from those who hurt you or drain your energy opens up space for positive, nurturing relationships. Surrounding yourself with people who truly appreciate and support you creates a more joyful and peaceful life. While it can be difficult to let go, especially if those relationships are long-standing, the emotional freedom you gain is worth the challenge. You'll find yourself feeling lighter, more at ease, and open to deeper, more meaningful connections with people who truly care for you, releasing the need for approval. Throughout life, many of us are taught to care deeply about what others think. Whether it's following family traditions, fitting into workplace expectations, or conforming to social norms, the desire to be accepted and approved by others can shape our choices in powerful ways. From the clothes we wear to the careers we pursue, much of our lives may have been influenced by this need to meet external expectations. However, after turning 63, this constant concern with other people's opinions often starts to feel unnecessary and exhausting. The self-awareness that comes with age helps you realize that no one knows you better than you know yourself. Living your life to gain approval from others becomes less important, especially when you recognize that their opinions often reflect their own experiences and beliefs more than they reflect who you truly are. Letting go of this need for external validation is one of the most liberating steps you can take. It allows you to make choices based on your own desires, values, and needs. Whether it's moving to a smaller home, traveling to new places, picking up a hobby you've always wanted to try, or simply spending more time with loved ones, your decisions becomes centered around what brings you happiness, not what others expect of you. This shift toward self-acceptance brings a sense of peace and confidence. You've lived a full life, gained valuable experiences, and earned the right to prioritize your own well-being. By freeing yourself from the constant worry of judgment, you create a life that feels more genuine, joyful, and aligned with who you truly are. Decluttering and letting go of excess belongings throughout our lives. We tend to collect a lot of belongings, from homes and cars to clothing, furniture, and keepsakes. These items often hold sentimental value or represent past achievements. However, as we grow older, especially into our 60s and 70s, the need for many of these possessions begins to fade. What once seemed essential might now feel like unnecessary clutter, taking up space in our homes and weighing down our minds. The large house that was once perfect for raising a family may now feel too big and difficult to maintain. The carefully curated wardrobe might no longer fit your lifestyle or personal style. Items that once brought joy can begin to feel like burdens, requiring constant upkeep and organization. Holding on to things you no longer use or need can create a sense of heaviness, both physically and emotionally. Decluttering and simplifying your living space is not about erasing memories. It's about choosing to focus on what truly adds value to your life today. Letting go of excess belongings creates room for peace, clarity, and new experiences. It allows you to shift your attention from material possessions to meaningful moments and relationships. With fewer things to manage, you can spend more time doing what you love, whether that's traveling, enjoying hobbies, or simply relaxing in a calm, comfortable home. This process of simplifying is a gentle and powerful act of self-care. It reflects a deeper understanding that happiness and fulfillment are found not in things, but in the quality of your experiences and the people you cherish. Embracing a simpler lifestyle at this stage of life can bring a profound sense of freedom and contentment. 4. Releasing regret and guilt from the past. By the time we reach our 60s, it's common to look back on life and think about the choices we've made. Sometimes, these reflections bring feelings of regret or guilt. You might wish you had made different decisions, spoken up more often, or taken a different path. These feelings can be heavy, lingering in your mind and making it harder to enjoy the present moment. However, holding on to regret and guilt serves no real purpose. The truth is, every choice you made was based on what you knew and felt at the time. You were doing your best with the knowledge, resources, and circumstances you had. It's easy to judge your past self with the wisdom you have now, but that's not fair to who you were back then. One of the most freeing realizations you can have after 63 is that the past cannot be changed, but your relationship with it can. Instead of carrying the weight of past mistakes, you can choose to see them as valuable lessons that helped shape the person you are today. Every misstep, every wrong turn, and every painful experience contributed to your growth and understanding. Forgiving yourself is not about ignoring what happened. It's about accepting that you are human, just like everyone else, and that imperfection is part of life. Letting go of regret and guilt opens up emotional space for joy, gratitude, and peace. It allows you to live fully in the present, appreciating each day as a new opportunity for happiness. Redefining success and ambition. When we are younger, success is often defined by external measures, career achievements, financial status, recognition, and social status. These goals can drive us to work hard, compete, and constantly strive for more. However, as you enter your 60s, the meaning of success often shifts. You may realize that true success is not about how much you own or how high you've climbed on the corporate ladder. Instead, it becomes more about inner fulfillment, meaningful relationships, good health, and a sense of peace. Success is found in the quality of your everyday life, how you spend your time, who you share it with, and how you feel about yourself. This change in perspective allows you to release the pressure of constant ambition. You no longer need to prove your worth through endless achievements. You've already built a life, faced challenges, and reached milestones. Now success can simply mean living authentically, enjoying simple pleasures, and finding joy in the present moment. Redefining success in this way brings a sense of relief and contentment. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, spending time with loved ones, exploring hobbies, traveling, or simply enjoying a quiet afternoon. Letting go of the need to constantly achieve frees you to experience life in a more relaxed, meaningful way. No longer worrying about aging appearance. In a society that often values youth and physical beauty, it can be challenging to watch your body change with age. Wrinkles, gray hair, and other signs of aging are sometimes seen as flaws to be hidden or corrected. This mindset can create unnecessary stress and self-consciousness. However, as you reach your 60s and beyond, you may begin to see these changes differently. Rather than feeling ashamed or worried, you can choose to view your aging appearance as a reflection of your life's journey. Every line on your face, every gray hair tells a story of experiences, emotions, and memories. They are symbols of wisdom, resilience, and the passage of time. Accepting and embracing your natural appearance brings a deep sense of peace. It frees you from the constant need to meet unrealistic beauty standards. You realize that true beauty comes from within, through kindness, confidence, and the way you carry yourself. People are drawn to warmth, authenticity, and a positive spirit, not just physical looks. By letting go of the worry about your appearance, you allow yourself to age gracefully and confidently. You can focus your energy on staying healthy, feeling good, and enjoying life, rather than trying to look like your younger self. This acceptance creates a more joyful and liberated experience of aging. Simplifying social obligations throughout life, many of us feel the need to attend every event, accept every invitation, and stay connected with a large circle of acquaintances. This can be exhausting and overwhelming, especially when the social obligations are driven by a sense of duty rather than genuine desire. As you grow older, you begin to realize that your time and energy are precious. You no longer need to say yes to every request or feel guilty for setting boundaries. Simplifying your social life becomes a natural choice. You start to prioritize meaningful interactions with people who truly matter to you, rather than spreading yourself thin. It's perfectly okay to decline invitations that don't interest you, to spend quiet evenings at home, or to enjoy solitude. Doing so is not selfish. It's a form of self-care. By focusing on quality over quantity in your social connections, you create more fulfilling and enjoyable experiences. This shift also helps reduce stress and allows you to live more intentionally. You get to choose how you spend your time, with whom, and in what way. Simplifying your social life leads to deeper, more authentic relationships and a greater sense of peace. Letting go of fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is a common human experience. Whether it's fear of health issues, financial instability, or what lies ahead in life, uncertainty can create anxiety. In younger years, this fear often drives people to overplan, worry excessively, and try to control every aspect of life. However, as you reach your 60s and beyond, you may come to realize that uncertainty is simply a part of life. No amount of worry or control can prevent unexpected events. Instead of fearing the unknown, you can choose to approach life with curiosity and openness. Accepting uncertainty brings a surprising sense of freedom. It allows you to focus on the present moment rather than constantly worrying about the future. You learn to trust in your ability to adapt and handle whatever comes your way. After all, you've already faced many challenges and changes throughout your life. You are stronger and more resilient than you might think. By letting go of the fear of the unknown, you open yourself up to new experiences, growth, and opportunities. Life becomes less about controlling outcomes and more about enjoying the journey. 9. Prioritizing health. Over perfection. In the past, you might have been very concerned with looking perfect or reaching certain fitness goals. You may have worked hard to maintain a slim body, look youthful, or follow strict diets and exercise routines. These efforts often came from the desire to fit into society's standards of beauty and perfection. But after the age of 63, your perspective changes. You begin to understand that health is far more important than physical perfection. Instead of focusing on appearance, you focus on how you feel. Being healthy means having the energy to enjoy life, move comfortably, and maintain independence. It's not about chasing an unrealistic image, but about taking care of your body with kindness. This mindset shift brings more peace. You start to listen to your body's needs rather than pushing it beyond its limits. Gentle exercises like walking, yoga, or swimming become more appealing than intense workouts. Eating well becomes a way to nourish yourself, not punish yourself. You choose balance over extremes. By prioritizing health over perfection, you free yourself from constant self-criticism. You become more accepting of your body's natural changes. This approach leads to a healthier, happier, and more sustainable lifestyle. T. Valuing experiences over possessions. Throughout much of life, there is a tendency to collect material possessions. People often believe that owning more things will bring happiness and fulfillment. Bigger houses, luxury cars, and the latest gadgets are seen as symbols of success. However, with age comes wisdom. After 63, you may realize that true happiness doesn't come from what you own, but from what you experience. Memories, moments of connection, and personal growth hold far more value than material items. Traveling to new places, spending quality time with family and friends, learning new skills, or simply enjoying nature, these experiences create lasting joy. Unlike possessions that lose their charm over time, experiences enrich your life in meaningful ways. This realization often leads to a simpler, more intentional lifestyle. You might choose to declutter your home, let go of unnecessary items, and focus on creating memories instead. The pursuit of experiences over possessions brings a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy. Embracing solitude without loneliness. In younger years, being alone is sometimes seen as a negative thing. People fear loneliness and often feel the need to constantly surround themselves with others. However, as you grow older, you begin to see solitude in a different light. Solitude becomes a choice rather than a burden. It offers time for reflection, creativity, and personal peace. You learn to enjoy your own company, finding comfort in quiet moments. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means having the freedom to do what you love without distraction. Solitude allows you to reconnect with yourself. You can read, write, meditate, or simply sit in silence. These moments become opportunities for self-discovery and inner calm. You no longer feel pressured to fill every hour with activity or social interaction. By embracing solitude, you develop a stronger sense of independence and emotional strength. You realize that happiness can come from within, not just from external sources. This inner contentment is one of the greatest gifts of aging. Letting go of control and accepting life's flow. Throughout life, many people try to control every detail, planning the future, managing outcomes, and avoiding surprises. This desire for control comes from a fear of uncertainty and a need for security. But as you reach your 60s and beyond, you start to understand that life cannot be fully controlled. Unexpected events happen, plans change, and not everything goes as expected. Instead of fighting against this reality, you learn to accept it. Letting go of the need to control everything brings a deep sense of peace. You begin to trust the natural flow of life. You realize that flexibility and adaptability are far more valuable than rigid control. Challenges become opportunities for growth rather than sources of stress. This acceptance doesn't mean giving up on goals or responsibilities. It means approaching life with a more relaxed and open mindset. You do your best, but release attachment to specific outcomes. You focus on what you can control, your actions, your attitude, and your response to situations. By letting go of control, you reduce anxiety and increase your capacity for joy. Life becomes less of a struggle and more of a journey to be experienced. Living in the present moment, one of the most valuable lessons that often comes with age, is the importance of living in the present moment. In the past, you might have spent a lot of time worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. These thoughts can steal your joy and create unnecessary stress. After 63, you come to understand that the present moment is all you truly have. The future is uncertain, and the past cannot be changed. What matters most is how you choose to experience life right now. Living in the present means fully engaging with what you are doing, Whether it's enjoying a meal, having a conversation, or simply sitting quietly, it means appreciating small pleasures, the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds, the beauty of nature. This mindful way of living brings a sense of peace and fulfillment. You become more aware of your surroundings, your emotions, and your thoughts. You respond to life with greater clarity and calmness. Practicing mindfulness doesn't require complicated techniques. It's about being present, paying attention, and savoring each moment. This habit enriches your daily life and enhances your overall well-being. Focusing on what truly matters as you age, your priorities naturally shift. You begin to see what truly matters in life. Superficial concerns lose their importance, and deeper values take center stage. Health, family, meaningful relationships, personal peace, and living authentically become the core of your focus. You stop wasting energy on trivial matters, gossip, competition, and materialistic pursuits. Instead, you direct your attention to what brings real joy and meaning. This clarity allows you to live more intentionally. You make conscious choices about how you spend your time, who you spend it with, and what you invest your energy in. Life becomes simpler, yet richer. Focusing on what matters most helps you create a life that feels true to yourself. It reduces stress, enhances happiness, and fosters a deeper connection with yourself and others. Conclusion: the beauty of letting go. After 63, reaching the age of 63 and beyond offers a unique opportunity for growth, peace, and fulfillment. By letting go of unnecessary burdens, such as regrets, perfectionism, materialism, and the need for control, you create space for what truly matters. This stage of life is not an end, but a new beginning. It's a time to embrace simplicity, nurture meaningful relationships, and find joy in everyday moments. You gain the freedom to live authentically, guided by your own values and inner wisdom. Aging gracefully means accepting yourself fully, with kindness and compassion. It means celebrating your journey and looking forward to each new day with an open heart. The art of letting go is, in fact, the art of living well.